exploded over the past decade.
No industry
This
memo
wasn't a
warned of
special
this
appearance
shift.
or a quick celebratory
No
set tucked
algorithm
between
predicted
fireworks.
the outcome.
SB19 wasn't treated as an accessory to the
superstars.
countdown. They were positioned as a central force of the night. They broke the live album curse. That decision alone speaks volumes.
And this isn't just a win for one act.
It's a reckoning for the entire music industry who understand exactly what's at stake when millions are watching live. SB19 rewrote the rulebook
Nothing
for live
about
releases.
this moment was
what
accidental.
The data reveals about their unprecedented
SB19
success
didn't arrive
and
at
why this
BGC
moment
through
redefines
hyper
the
trend
future of
cycles.
P-pop and
They
global
arrived through
music alike.
consistency, discipline, and proof.
If you value stories that
this
cut through
stage
hype to
doesn't
reveal
exist to
industry
reward
truths,
artists.
hit like,
it exists
share,
to test
and
them under
subscribe to
pressure.
Starwave. This is a story
And
that will change how you
SB19
see
didn't
live
walk
albums
onto it as
forever.
guests.
They walked on
unspoken
as
curse of
artists
live
trusted
albums.
to hold the moment together. Let's start with the truth the music industry long before has
the first
buried.
note was
Live
played,
albums
the
are
pressure
designed
had
to
already
begun. Not because
Weeks
the
ahead of the
performances
countdown,
lack talent,
conversations
but because
were
the
quietly
entire
forming.
ecosystem is stacked against them.
Online anticipation
For years,
mixed with
3
doubt.
unwritten rules have dictated
Fans
their
were
fate,
excited, and the
but
data
critics
doesn't
lingered
lie.
with a sharper question.
First, can
streaming
SB19
culture has
dominate a
trained
mainstream
listeners
New
to
Year's Eve
prioritize
crowd,
the
not
familiar.
just their own fandom?
Fans don't reach
This
for
wasn't
raw,
a fan-only
unpolished
stage.
live versions when studio
This
cuts
was
are
the
the hardest
away.
room possible.
Replay
NYE
algorithms reward
audiences are
consistency,
unpredictable.
not the crackle of crowd noise
Many
or a
aren't
singer's
there for the
ad-libby
artist,
pause. They're there for the moment.
A 2023
They
industry
scroll,
report
talk,
found that
walk
82% of listeners say they
Winning
prefer
them
studio
requires
tracks for
instant
daily
authority.
listening, with only
And
18%
SB19
choosing live
knew
versions
that.
even for their favorite artists. On top of that came the
Second,
unforgiving
playlists
reality
are
of
a
live
gatekeeper
national
that blocks out
broadcast.
live tracks. No retakes.
Spotify, Apple Music,
No
YouTube
edits.
Music, their algorithms
No
favor
safety
clean,
net.
radio-friendly production,
One missed cue,
consistent
one
volume,
vocal slip,
and tracks that
one
fit
drop in
seamlessly
energy,
into
and the
curated
narrative
flows.
could tilt.
Live
This is
releases
what
are
made
deemed
the stakes so
non-essential,
high.
an afterthought for hardcore fans only. SB19 wasn't just representing
A recent
themselves.
analysis of
They were
100
representing
top
what
global
organizers
playlists
found
believed
that
modern
live tracks make
Filipino
up less
pop
than
could
1%
deliver on
of
a
their
national
content,
scale.
even for artists with
Every
massive
movement
fan
would be
bases.
watched, replayed, dissected.
Third, labels treat
Every
live albums
second
as
carried
filler,
weight.
not statements.
By the
Most
time
are dropped
SB19
between
stepped
eras,
on stage,
underpromoted,
the test
used
had
to pad
already begun.
discographies instead of marked milestones.
This wasn't
excitement, it was
a
exposure. A
2022
survey of major
Four
label
on.
executives found that 76%
SB19
see live
stood
albums
under
as
a
low-priority
microscope
projects
confidence
with
alone
little
wasn't
revenue
enough.
potential, and only 12%
Only
allocate
execution
more
would
than
decide the
5% of an
outcome.
artist's marketing budget
The
to a
opening
live
seconds
release.
of a New Year's Eve performance
The numbers
decide
back
everything.
this up. There is no
Across
warm-up,
global markets,
no second
live
chance to
albums
earn
typically
attention.
sell
30 to 70% less than their
SB19
studio
understood that,
counterparts.
and they used it.
Most
The
debut
first
outside the
visuals
top
didn't
50
rush
on
or
major
overwhelm.
charts, and vanish from rankings
Lighting
within
came in
days.
clean
and deliberate.
Framing
Even
the
legendary
members
acts
before the
can't
sound
escape
fully
the cycle.
hit.
A rock icon's
That pause
2021
mattered.
live debut landed at number
created
62 on the
anticipation,
Billboard
not
200.
noise.
Streaming numbers plummeting 80%
When the first
after
beat
the
dropped,
first week.
it landed with intention, not
A Pop
desperation.
Icon's 2022 live
What stood
project
out
barely made a
immediately
blip
was
on
body
global
language.
playlists, with fan interest drying up
SB19
before the month
didn't
ended.
overperform or chase the
This
crowd's
isn't a
approval.
flaw in the music, it's a
Their
flaw in the
posture,
industry's
spacing,
approach to
and eye
live
context
releases. Communicated control.
Even global icons
This
can't
wasn't
beat the
nervous
curse.
energy,
it was ownership. Let's talk about the heavy
Before
hitters.
the first chorus even arrived,
Some of the biggest
something
names in
shifted
music
the
have
venue.
released
live albums.
You could
only
hear
to
it in
watch
the crowd's
them fade into
response.
obscurity.
The cheers weren't polite, they were
A
reactive.
Grammy-winning pop star's live album
Phones
from
came up.
2020 sold just 15% of
Attention
their
locked
previous
in.
studio album's first week
Camera
numbers,
direction
with no tracks
reinforced
making
that
it onto
shift.
any top 100
Instead
playlists.
of
distant safety shots,
a country
the
legend's
broadcast
2019
live
close-up
release dropped out of
spaces,
the Billboard
expressions,
200 in 3
synchronized
days,
movement.
despite a massive fan base
That
and
choice
a
is
sold-out
never
tour to
accidental.
support it.
These
Directors
aren't
don't
one-off
commit
cases,
to intimate
they're the
framing
norm.
unless they trust what they're
Live
capturing.
albums
are seen as a gift to
It
die-hard
signaled
fans,
belief in
not a product that
SB19's
can
presence.
compete with studio releases.
Within seconds, the venue's energy
Industry
changed.
insiders have long held the
What
belief
started
that live
as a
releases
countdown
don't
crowd
drive new
became an
listeners,
engaged
don't
audience.
generate long-term revenue,
You could feel
and don't
the
move the
decision
needle
being
on an
made in
artist's
real
career
time.
trajectory.
This
So when
performance
SB19
matters.
announced their live album tied
Once
to their
momentum
kickoff
was
concert
secured,
for a new era,
SB19
the industry's
shifted gears
unspoken
from
verdict was
impression
clear.
to
This will
execution.
be a niche success,
The
nothing
performance
more.
wasn't just energetic,
But that assumption
it
was about
precise.
to be shattered. Live vocals held
What
steady against
SB19
backing
did
tracks,
differently.
striking a balance that preserved power
SB19
without
didn't release a
sacrificing
live
clarity.
album. They released a milestone.
On a massive outdoor stage,
This wasn't
where
a random
acoustics can
concert
easily
recording,
betray
a
performers.
bonus track
Control
bundle,
is
or a
everything,
throwaway
and
side
SB19
project.
maintained it throughout. It was a narrative of growth,
choreography
a
was
declaration
clearly
of
adapted
independence,
for scale.
a receipt of the years of struggle they'd
Movements
overcome.
were expanded,
Every
transitions
track
were
felt
clean,
intentional,
and formations
a fan
favorite reimagined with raw,
designed to
unfiltered
read from a
emotion.
distance
A new
while
anthem
still rewarding
performed with
close-up
urgent,
shots.
unapologetic energy.
Nothing felt cramped or
A
excessive.
quiet ballad that let
the
Every
crowd's
step
cheers
served
blend
the
into the
purpose,
melody,
reinforcing
turning a
rhythm
solo
and
presence
performance
rather
into a
than
shared
filling
moment.
space.
This wasn't
Each member had
nostalgia for
moments
past
that showed
shows,
focus
it was a
naturally,
snapshot
not
of a
through
group
forced
stepping into a
spotlighting,
new era,
but through timing
proving
and
they'd
command.
outgrown
the constraints of being
These
labeled
weren't
an
isolated
emergent
highlights.
hip-hop act. They flowed as part of a
But
cohesive
emotion
unit.
alone doesn't break curses.
No one rushed, no one
Data
lagged.
does. There were
The
no
numbers
wasted
that
movements,
changed everything.
no filler breaks waiting for the next
Let's get
cue.
to
the metrics that made industry
When compared
insiders
to
pause.
international New Year's Eve performances,
First, chart
the difference was
performance.
clear. This
SB19's
didn't feel like
live
a
album
local act
didn't just
scaled
chart,
up for
it
television.
competed.
It
felt like a
debuted alongside
performance
brand new
designed for
studio
broadcast,
albums from
tight,
global stars,
intentional,
holding
and
its place
globally
in the
readable.
top 10 of multiple regional
SB19
charts for 3
didn't
weeks
perform
straight.
to survive the moment.
For a live release, they
That's
performed
unheard
as
of.
if the world was already
Most
watching.
live
albums drop out of the top
The
50
most
in
difficult
days.
audiences are not hostile, they're
SB19
indifferent.
stayed relevant long enough
And
to
New Year's Eve
outperform
crowds
12
are
newly
filled with
released
them.
studio projects from
People
mid-tier
scrolling,
artists in
chatting,
Southeast Asia
waiting
and
for
North
fireworks.
America.
Second,
SB19
streaming
didn't fight
behavior.
that reality.
They read it.
Live albums usually
Early
see
in
a
the set,
70%
energy
drop in
was
streams
measured,
after
not
day
explosive.
1, but SB19's held
This
steady.
was intentional.
Repeat listens were 2x the
They let
industry
the
average
crowd
for
breathe,
live releases,
observe, and
fan-driven
slowly lean
playlist
in.
traction forced
Then
platforms to
came
add
the
tracks to
pivot.
curated lists,
Call
a
and
signal that
response
people
moments
weren't just
weren't
sampling
forced,
this
they were
album,
timed.
they were sticking around.
Short, accessible
A
cues
Spotify
invited
analysis found that
participation without
65%
demanding
of
loyalty.
listeners who streamed SB19's live
Casual
album
viewers
went on to
didn't
stream
need
it
to know
again
the
within
lyrics to
48 hours,
respond.
compared to the 22%
All they needed
average
was
for live
rhythm and
releases.
confidence. Third,
That's when the shift
international
happened.
attention. Body
This
language
wasn't
in
just
the
a
crowd
local
changed.
win.
Heads
The album
turned.
sparked media coverage in Southeast
Phones
Asia,
rose.
North America,
Conversations
and Europe, with
paused.
reaction videos and think
By
pieces
the midpoint
popping
of
up
the
across
performance,
regions. Attention was no
For
longer
an emerging
scattered.
global act to have a live
Chants grew
album
louder,
cross borders,
reactions faster.
that's almost unheard of.
SB19 wasn't chasing engagement
30%
anymore.
of
They
the
were
album
directing
streams
came from outside the
difference
Philippines,
between
with top
performing and
markets
leading
including the
became clear.
United States, Canada,
They
and the
controlled
United
pacing,
Kingdom. Silence, and this wasn't just a viral
and
moment.
impact.
It was proof that SB19's
The crowd
live release
followed
had resonated
instinctively.
with listeners beyond their
This
core
is
fan
where
base.
conversion happens. Why fans didn't
Not
treat
through
this like a
hype,
side
but
project.
through authority. Here's where
SB19
SB19 did
didn't
something
ask the
genius.
audience to
They
like
turned
them.
the live album into a must-have,
They gave them
not
something
an option.
worth responding to. Their kickoff
And in a
concert
space where
wasn't
most
just a
artists
show.
struggled
it was
to
the
hold
start of a
attention
new
for
era,
seconds,
a proof of
SB19
concept that they could
held
stand
it for
on.
minutes.
Their
The home
hardest
without
audience
major
didn't
label
just watch,
support.
they joined.
The live album
Camera
became
work
a
tells the
timestamp.
story
If
long
you weren't
before
at the
the
concert,
audience realizes
this was
it.
how you caught up to the story.
During SB19's set,
Fans didn't
that
stream
story
it
was
casually,
clear.
they streamed it with purpose.
The production didn't
It was
rely
a
on
badge of
safe
pride,
wide shots
a way
meant
to
to
say
hide
you need to hear
uncertainty.
this to understand why
Instead,
SB19
it
matters.
leaned into confident close-ups,
That mindset
faces,
is rare
expressions,
and powerful.
synchronized detail.
Fans
Fans launched
launched social
signals
media
trust.
campaigns to get the album
Directors
onto global
don't gamble
playlists,
on
intimacy
shared
unless
clips they
their
believe
favorite
the
tracks
performers
with captions
carry it.
explaining the story behind
Reaction
each performance,
shots mattered
and even
just as
organized
much.
listening parties to
Cameras
introduce new
frequently
listeners
cut
to
to
the
crowd
album.
responses, cheers,
This
raised
wasn't
phones,
just fan
real-time
support,
excitement,
it was
then
a movement.
snapped back to SB19
The
at peak
emotional
moments.
factor data can't measure.
This rhythm wasn't random.
Data can tell you how many times an album
reinforced
was
cause
streamed,
and effect.
but it can't measure the emotional weight behind those
SB19
streams.
moves, the crowd responds. SB19's strength has never been
Fireworks
just
weren't
their vocals or
distractions,
choreography.
they were
It's their
punctuation.
context.
Production teams
Fans
are
know the
risk-averse
years of
by
underfunded
nature.
shows. The doubts
Live
from industry
broadcasts
insiders
leave no margin
the fight
for
to
error.
represent P-pop globally. Weak acts get distance.
They know the group's journey from
Strong
being
acts
unknown
get
to becoming
focus.
the first Filipino act to be
SB19
nominated for a
received
Billboard
focus.
Music Award. Their reactions,
So when they hear a strained note
micro-expressions, and
mid-performance,
confidence were
or the
treated
roar
as
of the
part
crowd
of the drowning
narrative,
out
not
a lyric.
something to be
They
hidden
don't
or
hear
rushed
imperfection,
past.
they hear proof.
Most telling was how
Proof that
SB19
this is real,
was
that
positioned
these
within the
moments aren't
countdown
scripted.
itself. That SB19 is
They
here
weren't
because they earned it.
placeholders
between segments.
That emotional attachment
They were
translates
anchors
directly
holding
to
the
higher
momentum of
completion
the
rates. 90% of
The
listeners
camera
finished
never
the entire
lies.
album. Compared to the
And on this
industry
stage,
average of
it made a clear
45%
choice
for
about
live
who
releases,
deserved the
word-of-mouth
lens.
promotion, and fan-led
Midnight
campaigns
is not
to
just
get
a
the album in
timestamp,
front
it's
of
a
new listeners.
psychological reset. Why this moment
When the
is
countdown
bigger than
reaches zero,
SB19.
whoever stands on stage
This
becomes
isn't just
the
a
bridge
win for
between years.
SB19. It's a wake-up call for the
SB19
music
didn't
industry.
just
perform near midnight.
They
It challenges
challenges
transition
three long
into
held beliefs.
2026. 1.
As
As
the
live
final
albums don't
seconds
generate
approached,
meaningful
energy
revenue.
tightened. The crowd
SB19's
wasn't
album
watching
earned
casually
60%
anymore.
of their
They were
last
present.
studio
album's revenue in the first
Then
month,
the moment
a number that's
landed.
unheard of for a live release.
Fireworks ignited the skyline
Merchandise
while
tied to the album
SB19's
sold
music
out in
filled the
48
space
hours,
below.
and the group's ticket sales
Sound
for
and
their
light
subsequent tour
creating
increased by
something
30%
more permanent
after
than
the
celebrations
album's release.
of
A cultural imprint.
2.
This
That only
wasn't background
studio
noise for a
perfection
new
sells.
year. It was the soundtrack
raw,
of Arrival. Unpolished tracks from
For countless
SB19's
viewers,
album outperformed
SB19
some of
became
their
the
own
first
studio
voice,
cuts on
the first
playlists.
image,
the first emotion
Their
of
live version of
2026.
Mappa was added to Spotify's
That
global
matters
top
more than
50
it seems.
playlist.
A first for any
Memory
P-pop live
anchors
track.
shaped narratives. 3. That
Years
non-Western
later,
acts
People
can't
don't
redefine
remember
formats.
full set lists.
SB19 didn't
They
just
remember
follow the
who
rules for
welcomed
live
them
albums.
into the future.
They rewrote them.
Being the face of
And
that
other
moment
artists
carries
are paying
symbolic weight.
attention. It
Emerging
signals
acts
trust,
across Asia
relevance,
are now
and
planning
cultural
live releases
positioning.
as narrative milestones.
This
not
wasn't
filler.
about dominance or spectacle. The industry's lazy assumption
It
that
was
live
about
albums are a
presence.
waste of time is starting to
SB19
crumble. Stood calmly inside
what this
chaos
means
and
for
owned it.
P-pop's global future.
When history looks back,
For
it
P-pop,
won't just
this
record
moment is
fireworks and
transformative.
cheers. It
For
will
years,
remember which
the genre
artists were
has been
trusted to
boxed
stand
into
at the
labels,
edge of time,
emerging,
and SB19
local,
was there.
experimental.
But
The true test of a
SB19's
live
live album
performance
proves
begins
that
after the
P-pop
stage
has a
goes
global
dark.
audience. Within minutes,
The album was
SB19's
streamed in
New Year's Eve
180
appearance spilled
countries,
across
with
platforms.
30% of streams coming from
Clips
outside
surfaced on
Southeast
X,
Asia.
TikTok, YouTube,
This
and
isn't
Instagram,
just a viral
often
moment,
uploaded by
it's
fans
proof that
faster
fans
than
around the
official
world are
channels could
hungry for
respond.
authentic, narrative-driven
And many
music
of those
from
fan
P-pop
videos
videos didn't just circulate, they
SB19
outperformed.
didn't ask for validation.
What made
They
the
forced
reaction
recognition.
different was its range, and that changes
This
everything for
wasn't
the
limited
genre's
to
future.
dedicated fans.
Major
Casual
labels are now
viewers
looking to
posted
sign
surprised
P-pop acts with a
reactions.
focus on narrative-driven live releases,
Non-fans
and
commented on
international
stage
promoters
presence,
are reaching out to
control,
book
and
P-pop
energy.
groups for global tours.
The language shifted from
This
praise
isn't
driven
just
by
a
loyalty to respect driven by
win for
observation.
SB19. It's a win
International
for the entire
attention
P-pop
followed
community.
quickly.
The
Reaction
reaction
videos
videos from
worked.
outside the Philippines
The
began
real reason
appearing, analyzing
SB19
the
broke the
performance
live
without
album curse
context
is
or
simple.
bias.
They made the album feel
That's
necessary.
a key signal of impact.
It
when
wasn't an
interest forms
optional
without
add-on to their
promotion.
discography.
It was a
Algorithms
critical
don't
piece of
push
their story.
sentiment. Audiences do.
Fans didn't stream it because
This
they wanted
wasn't
to
a
hear
spike
old
of hype.
songs. They streamed it because
It
they
was
wanted to be part
continuity.
of the moment.
Engagement didn't
They wanted
collapse
to
after
prove that
midnight.
live albums
it grew.
can matter, that P-pop
Clips
can
were
compete
replayed,
globally,
moments
that
isolated,
SB19 is here to
expressions
stay.
analyzed.
This isn't
The
just
internet
a win
didn't
for one
inflate
group.
what happened at BGC.
It's a reckoning for an industry
It
that's been
validated
sleeping
it.
on the power of live
What
music
the
as a
stage
narrative
proved in
tool.
real time.
The digital
For
world
too long,
confirmed
the
an
music
echo.
industry
has treated live
Momentum
albums as filler,
replaced
but
speculation.
SB19's success shows that
Some
when you treat a
performances
live release
create
as a
noise.
milestone, not an afterthought,
Others create
it can
leverage.
resonate with fans in ways studio
What
albums
SB19
can't.
gained from this New Year's Eve
And
stage
if this is
wasn't
just the beginning,
applause,
the
it was
music industry
repositioning.
better start paying attention.
Until this moment,
SB19
SB19
isn't
was
just
widely
breaking
recognized
curses,
as a
they're
top
building
P-pop
new
group.
standards. After
They're
this
proving
night,
that raw,
they crossed into a
authentic live
different
music
music
can
category,
compete
a
with
trusted
polished
national
studio
act,
cuts.
that non-Western
Trust
acts
is
can
the
redefine
rarest
genres,
currency in live
and that fans will
entertainment.
show up for music that matters.
Organizers don't care about
This is the
fandom
future
size
of
alone.
music,
They
and
care
it's
about
here to
reliability
stay.
under pressure.
If you want to stay
SB19
updated on the
proved
latest
they could
industry
command a
insights
mixed
and
audience,
P-pop news,
carry a
make
live
sure to
broadcast,
like, share,
and hold
and
energy at
subscribe
the
to
most
sensitive
sensitive
moment of the year. We'll be back next
That
week
makes
with more
them low
stories
risk
that
and
cut
high
through the
reward.
hype to reveal the truth behind the music.
Exactly what decision